What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, the Supreme B-Man, and I've returned once again to talk about Marvel Infinite. Yet, this is probably going to be like maybe my fourth, fifth top 10 list. Of course, I'm going to do a top 10 about characters that I obviously want in the game. But these are not just characters that I necessarily want. I think these are characters that Marvel Infinite definitely needs in order to stay afloat. Now, of course, they already announced that they're going to launch out 6 new characters, with 3 of them already being seen throughout many different trailers so far all over YouTube. These characters include Black Panther, Monster Hunter, and Sigma. And only 3 more characters to come in the background at some point. And I will note that these characters will be costing you, ladies and gentlemen, a grand total of $8 a piece, unless you have the season pass. And that's probably going to be the only way that you're probably going to get away and get around that $48 price tag that Capcom has put these DLC characters on. Yes, you do the math, it's going to be $48 total for all 6 characters once all of them are released to the public. But anyways, enough about other DLC characters that are already announced. Let's think about the characters that haven't been announced, and let's go on ahead and jump into this top 10 list of my DLC characters that I think need to be part of Marvel Infinite as soon as possible. Number 10. Coming at number 10 is going to be Blackheart. Blackheart is like this giant demon rat monster thing that came from the dimensions of Mephisto. A lot of you folks down there, my squad here, apparently corrected me on the origins of Blackheart because I made the mistake of putting him in my top 10 X-Men characters when I clearly realized after I read y'all's comments that he's not actually from the X-Men. He's actually from the Ghost Rider series. And guess who just so happens to be in Infinite? That's right, Ghost Rider. And so, with that being said, I think it makes a lot of sense to add a Ghost Rider character, considering the fact that Ghost Rider is kind of the main thing right now that a lot of people are really excited for in the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Some people really want him to have his own show, if not his own movie, starring the Robbie Reyes character, where he's driving a actual car rather than a motorcycle. And of course having the original Ghost Rider somewhere hiding in the background. But this isn't about Ghost Rider, it's about Blackheart. And I think Blackheart would actually be a pretty cool character to have, considering the fact that he had already been featured in a couple of Marvel vs. Capcom games, and we haven't seen him since Marvel 2. So I think this would be the great time to bring in an interesting demonic character like him. Plus, he's a villain, and with this game's lack of villains and mostly just, outer stellar heroes, I think this game definitely deserves Blackheart's attention. Number 9. At number 9 is going to be Batsu. What else can I say about Batsu that I haven't already mentioned about Batsu? This guy, he was featured in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. He has like this shonen hero type attitude where he's willing to save the day, protect his friends, and make sure his community, or if not his city or whatever, is protected by evil demons and spirits and gang lords and whatever else that tends to come along his way. Well, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit about Batsu, but I think he's a really cool, interesting character. Even though he kind of comes off as a Ryu character from the Rival Schools game, I honestly think Batsu has an interesting moveset that's a lot different from Ryu. He wouldn't be kind of that Shoto character in some ways. He does have his own Hadouken in some ways, but imagine him a little bit more like a Ryu mixed, but with a little bit more Ken and Sagat in some ways. His kicks, his punches are interstellar, they're out of this world, and they'll light you on fire for sure. And plus, I would imagine that Capcom probably really wants to drag back the Rival Schools franchise, and in order to maybe get more people's eyes on that product, I think this would be the best time to feature a Rival Schools character. As much as I would love that to happen, we might get that if people ask for them. You never know. Number 8. At number 8 is going to be Loki. Now, I don't understand. The story was right there for you guys. Come on, Capcom, for real? You turned down the brother of Thor? Really? Even though technically he's not really his actual brother, you know, we all find out that he's actually an adoptive breed in some ways, that apparently he's like a half demigod, frost giant thing, you know, it's whatever. Either way, Loki is a very important character among the Marvel Universe. He was the first villain to the Avengers. Yeah, that's right. He was the first villain of the Avengers movie. That's right. Not those giant Centaurian monsters, not Thanos, or anybody else that tends to pop their head up in and out at the end of every credit scene of every Marvel movie. It's actually Loki. He's been there since the very first Thor movie, and he ain't going nowhere no time soon as long as Tom Hiddleston continues to play as him. And on top of that, you can mess around with Loki. You can have the original comic book version of Loki. You can do a DLC costume where you can play as Tom Hiddleston. Or if Capcom really wants to play around, maybe you might throw in female Loki. Yeah, that's right. Loki was a chick at one point in time in the comics. Look it up. Number 7. At number 7 is going to be Luke Cage. That's right, Power Man himself, the Harlem hero. That bulletproof dude definitely needs to be put in this game. I honestly respect Luke Cage. I love the Netflix TV show. It was very entertaining. Of course, me being a brother and all, I kind of gravitate towards Luke Cage a little bit because, you know, I see what he's going through and I put myself in his shoes if I was him. And I would probably follow the same line. And I think because of that, I think we kind of need a character like Luke Cage in this game because, honestly, let's be real. There's nobody I can really gravitate to in this game personally, on a personal level. I love all the characters in their own same way, except for a few of them amongst the roster. But honestly, I think Luke Cage is one of those very interesting characters that I think they can put in here. They can have him do grapple moves. They can have him with his chain or whatever. He can just randomly pick up and throw at people. He can pick up a car. He can do a whole lot of interesting stuff that I think they can mess around with. Plus, he would have super armor. He'd be that kind of character that you wouldn't think would have super armor. But if you're not aware of his bulletproof skin, then you're more than likely going to end up on the floor. Number 6. At number 6 is going to be Donovan from Darkstalkers. Now, I know some of you guys are probably like, and I'm tired of you always bringing up Darkstalker characters. We do not want Darkstalker characters in this game, mainly because we don't want their legacy to be ruined by Marvel Infinite. Well, you need to back yourself up because Morgan is in this game, Jada in this game, and I've already mentioned Dimitri before in my top 10 Capcom characters, and you guys pretty much shot that out of the sky. So I decided to go back a little bit and dig up a couple of other Darkstalker characters, and for some dumb reason, Donovan tends to, stick out a little bit. He's pretty much a monster hunter in some ways. Not to throw out any puns here, but I'm just saying he kind of goes around hunting Darkstalker characters like Morgan and Jada. Vampires, werewolves, Frankensteins, whatever it may be, he will take them down. Plus, he has a really cool sword, and on top of that, Anita, his littlest cute assistant, happened to be featured in one of the first Marvel vs. Capcom games. Actually, she was actually a cheat code in some way. I don't know how they were able to break it. I think it was either that game or Marvel Superheroes. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I think Donovan would be a very interesting character. I think you can play around with his elemental spirits that embed themselves in his sword, and I think the character and his design and his look would be very interesting. Number 5. At number 5 is going to be Vision. Now, I've had Vision a couple of times on a couple of different lists here and there. I don't know. Probably one of my lists. I think it was the top 10 Marvel characters that I kind of wanted. And he was somewhere close to the top, I think. And I don't really see why he wasn't in the game in the first place, considering that the fact not only was he like the big star attraction in the Age of Ultron movie, he also in the comic books, I think he was Ultron's actual very first experiment that actually turned out actually pretty good, but then turned out bad because Vision turned on him. And on top of that, Vision defeated Ultron at one point. So what would you think that, Capcom turned down Vision in any type of way? Maybe it was because of the budget. Maybe it was because, it'd be too difficult to do that type of character. But then again, after seeing all the crazy, kooky characters that they got in the game right now, even though most of those characters are the same characters from Marvel 3, but I digress. I will say that Vision will be a very interesting character to have. I mean, he had an Infinity Stone embedded in his brain. I mean, it was the Soul Stone, pretty much one of the most abused Infinity Stones right now in the game. So imagine if he constantly had an Infinity Stone the entire time without even actually have it selected. You could have 2 stones for the price of 1. So, me just saying this, I think Vision would be probably at the top of anybody's list, especially Capcom's when it comes to the DLC characters somewhere in the future. Number 4. At number 4 is going to be Scarlet Witch. Well, back-to-back Avengers right here. Avengers that are clearly Omega level type of superheroes, and Scarlet Witch is no one to shake a tail feather at, that's for sure. She is literally one of the most strongest superheroes. Actually, she's actually one of the most strongest my bad. I apologize. I'm not allowed to use that word because Marvel will not allow it. So, because of certain rights and here and there. So, I'm going to say she is one of the most powerful miracles there is in the Marvel Universe, or Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let me correct myself. She has reality warping, telekinesis. She can pretty much make you see things that aren't really there. She can cause probability control, which means basically she can make things work in her favor, and pretty much you will turn out with bad luck in some way. So I think Scarlet Witch would be a very powerful character, as well as Vision and pretty much just about everybody on this list. But I think she would probably be one of the most interesting characters to use in this game. Plus, also, she is a female, which is something that this game is clearly lacking in the department of. Considering that Morgan is probably the only female character on the Capcom side, while the Marvel side only has 2. I think it's time to, take the D-bag out of the off the shelf, boys, and let a couple of girls get in there and do what they got to do, show themselves. You know what I mean? And I think Scarlet Witch is one of those characters that I think would showcase her power before even any of the cinematic movies do. Number 3. At number 3 is going to be Captain Commando. A lot of you told me, maybe 1 or 2 of you told me, Captain Commando would not fit in this game. Captain Commando will not work in this game. He's too old. He's too retro. Nobody knows who Captain Commando is. And I tell you, shut up. First off, everybody didn't know who Captain Falcon was. All they knew is that this guy that ran around screaming Falcon Punch. But yet everybody wanted to play as him in the first Smash Brothers game. And then also, speaking of retro, isn't Arthur from Ghost and Goblins a retro character? Isn't Bionic Commando Spencer a retro character? And isn't Mike Haggard, who clearly doesn't have a remake of his Final Fight game, a retro character? I mean, barely anybody knows of those respective games, so what makes Captain Commando any different? Plus, I honestly think he should have been in the main story anyway, to have Captain Commando and Captain America butting heads with one another, trying to see whose team is going to, win the day. It would have been great. That dynamic alone would have been satisfying. And plus, Captain Commando's team, a baby in a robot suit, a hip-hop mummy, and a ninja? How can you go wrong with that? I mean, seriously, Capcom, you missed the ball on that one. Number 2. At number 2, it was a tough decision. It was so hard. I had to go through so many lists of beautiful female Street Fighter characters, and I rolled the dice, I flipped a coin, I debated with myself, and I couldn't think of any other. It had to be Juri. I mean, I'm sorry, Juri is deadly. She's an assassin, and she has the psycho drive, or I think that's what it's called within the Street Fighter game. I'm not for sure, but she's a deadly assassin. She's very powerful, very, in some ways, very lustful in some ways, and on top of that, as well, she is a pretty good at what she does. I mean, I think an assassin would have been pretty good in the story mode as well, to have her in the background, just kind of trying to take, some of the characters out, and her being very successful in it. Maybe working with Jada, but then end up backstabbing him later and actually working for Thanos. Who knows? That would have been pretty cool. That's just my thoughts on that. Just giving you guys some cliff notes on how to actually write a story. But anyways, I think Juri would make a whole lot of sense in this game. I love her look. I like her style. Her personality in some ways is questionable, and but she's the deadliest crazy assassin, and clearly she's one of those crazy girlfriends that you probably don't want to piss off. That's for sure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we should be moving on to number 1, but before that, usually I have honorable mentions, and I honestly don't have any real honorable mentions this time around. I mean, normally I would, but this time around I just said nope, no honorable mentions. As much as I would love to have the X-Men or any X-Men character or mutant in the game, I honestly do not think that the X-Men will be featured in Marvel Infinite anytime soon. It's clear as day that Capcom does not want to go with that route, considering after what you see in the Black Panther / Sigma trailer, that clearly Black Panther is going to be the Wolverine X-23 character. Gamora was clearly the Deadpool character in some ways to replace her, and Nova was kind of the Magneto from the interviews that were later on this year, that went on earlier this year, and so I don't think the mutants are ever going to be featured in Marvel Infinite, but I could be wrong. They could end up doing it, considering the way sales are for Marvel Infinite at this moment in time, and the way how this game is being looked at by reviewers and people who are very die hard about this game and very critical about it as well, including myself. I'm not for sure if the game definitely needs them, but it could use them for sure, and I think just about any of the mutants would work very well. And as for the Capcom side, I think some maybe a few more Street Fighters here and there, or maybe some Darkstalker characters, maybe rival schools, maybe some arcade shooters here and there. I don't know, but I just think that characters, I think when it comes to the honorable mentions, I just think there's just a list of characters that we all could go with. But if you guys have any, put them in the comments. So allow me to announce the number 1 character for this list, and I will go with the one character that I honestly thought that they were going to put in to headline this game, or at least be the secret weapon to beat down the bad guys in the story mode, and that was Ashura from Ashura's Wrath. I hope I pronounced that right. Please don't kill me in the comments about my pronunciation. I know I screwed that word up too, but still, Ashura from Ashura's Wrath is a really cool character. I've seen a lot of gameplay. My brother owns the game. I played the game. It's really fun. Button masher, has this God of War type style to it. It's basically about a character who is basically a god in some ways, or at least viewed as one, considering he went around just pretty much killing gods left and right. They portray him, and they take away his daughter, and he just pretty much goes on a complete killing spree, just beating down bad guys with his fist. And I love the story behind Ashura, and I think this character should have been in the game from the get-go. Maybe at some point Capcom is going to work on him. Maybe they need time to balance him out and figure out what type of moves that they can use for him. Maybe they have planned him to be part of the game, but just not right now. So I honestly think that they will bring Ashura for sure, but we just have to wait in due time. So Ashura is my #1 pick for my top 10 characters for DLC for this game. And if you guys have any characters that you would more than likely want to see in the near future at some point, please put it in the comments below. Also, let me know how this video is. Let me know if I did alright, if I did well, or if you have any comments about my top 10. If you want to, let me know that I'm right or if I'm wrong, or if you agree, disagree, however you want to put it, just put it in the comments below. This is, as much as it is my channel, it is yours too. I would like to get my voice out there, so maybe share it with some friends, get the word out that B-Man is here. He ain't going nowhere. I know I've been on a break here and there, but that's the way life goes sometimes on YouTube. But I am not going to stop until Marvel Infinite becomes the absolute badass game that I wanted from the get-go. I don't hate Capcom. I just hate a lot of their practices and a lot of bad decisions that they make here and there. They make good games. I just want them to make good fighting games again like they used to do. I know that may not happen anytime soon in the near future, but I hope that they're listening to the fans, and I hope they do what they can to get these characters in there. So, with that being said, guys, that's all I can say here. Pretty much everything that I said before in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.